Your conference is being recorded.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Glandon, and I have been with LexisNexis for 12 years. In my current role as a Customer Success Manager, I work with new customers to get them off and running on their research, including providing training and consulting. Every LexisNexis customer has both a Relationship Manager and a Customer Success Manager assigned to their account. Today, I'm going to show you the ways a typical commercial real estate agent would use LexisNexis Records Public Records to find out who owns a property, who is behind an LLC, and how to locate their contact and other background information. Our public records data contains over 82 billion records from over 10,000 data sources, including each county's recorder's office, each state's Secretary of State filings, and bankruptcy court filings, personal cell phone numbers, email addresses, and Experian business reports, just to name a few. And every day we are either updating or adding new 1 million public records to our database. With all of our sources, we have licensed agreements with them, which includes how often they update their records with us, file format, and the royalty fee they will receive. Each time you run a search and it retrieves data provided by them, they receive a royalty fee from us. These public and private business entities are our business partners. This is a revenue stream for them, and therefore they are incented to keep their records current for your use. LexisNexis is a data aggregator, and we make their data easily searchable and usable for you. We never simply scrape data from the web. The breadth, accuracy, and currency of our public records sets us apart from any other public records provider. Earlier I said we have over 82 billion public records. That's a pretty big haystack to sort through. LexisNexis has developed Smartlinx comprehensive reports, which contain verified records for a particular person, business, or address location. Each record that we include in a Smartlinx comprehensive report has to match on at least 2 data points to ensure accuracy. So today I'm going to begin my research here under real property records. And the property that I'm going to search for is at 27 East River Road in Dayton, Ohio. For my search here, I'm just typing in 2700 River. I'm not going to include East or Road. It's not necessary when you're searching on our database. You notice here the River, Dayton, and Ohio. It's not case sensitive at all, so there's no need to worry about capitalization. And with that, I'm just going to click on search. So it searched through the 82 billion public records, and this is what it came up with for me. So the property I was looking for at 27 East River Road is actually in Moraine, which is a suburb right outside of Dayton, Ohio. It still found it because it automatically searches within a zip code radius or the property address that you entered. So it appears that it's owned by the Four McConnells, LLC. So I'm going to open up this second record here for the Four McConnells. This is details where the seller was the Donald L. Phillips Trust. So I just click on the blue hyperlink, and I see that the owner is the Four McConnells, LLC. The Donald L. Phillips Trust was the seller. Here's the details of the property. It's zoned as a warehouse. It was sold in December 15 of 2017 for $1.674 million. And the lender was Huntington National Bank, and there was a small business administration loan that they provided for that for $1.712 million, just a little bit more than the selling price. We've got details about the property itself. Here's the legal description for it. If I scroll down here farther, I found what the assessed value is, what the tax information is on the property. There's your taxable information, and here's more details about the property itself. Now, next I'm going to go back to my original results list. And this time, I'm going to click on the address. And with that, I'm going to get the Smartlinx Comprehensive Location Report for this property. An additional data that we're finding here is the latitude and longitude information, as well as the parcel numbers for the property. So that's helpful to you if, for example, you want to find out whether or not this property is in a floodplain. And since the address is 27 East River Road, that would definitely be something that you would want to check. So scroll down here, and I get some of the same information I saw before. This is owned as a warehouse, selling price, sales data, the small business loan. But when I scroll down here a little bit farther, I found out that in addition to that loan, the four McConnells also got from Huntington National Bank a future advance clause open-end mortgage for $373,000. So likely they're going to use that property improvements. So now we know that the four McConnells are the property owners. And so now I'm going to go back to my public records product by clicking up here. And I'm going to go to the Smartlinx Comprehensive Person Report and find out about the four McConnells. I'm going to clear my form, type in the four McConnells. Again, not using any capitalization. And I'm going to leave open their address location because I don't know for certain that they're located in Ohio. I'm going to click search. Search through all of the records and found two records here for the four McConnells LLC. You know, it did come up with some other matches. Here's one for the four McConnell LLC, MCC4. It did put it in the order, though, that the records at the top are the ones that are closest match for what your search was for. So there's one address here at 27 East River Road, which is the property that they bought, but I'm going to take a look at this address here in Bellbrook. This is another suburb of Dayton, Ohio. I note that it has a verified phone number. There was a green check. And it says that the listing name for this is in the name of Matthew McConnell. I'll bet that's one of the four McConnells. So I'll click here and get the business report. So for the Smartlinx Comprehensive Business Report, I see the four McConnells LLC. Here's the address and the phone number. And as I roll down the report here, I see that two executives that are listed are Matt and also to Molly. And this blue hyperlink means I could click and get a report on them if I wanted to. But I'm going to keep looking down my report here. And I see that it was incorporated on December 4th, 2017. That was just a few weeks before the sale of the property, so it looks like they formed this LLC in order to buy this property. Over here on the left is the types of contents that can be included in a Smartlinx Comprehensive Business Report. This is a new entity, so we're not seeing any of the negative information that we might find. We're not seeing bankruptcies, judgment liens, UCC filings. That information is great. But what I want to know is who's the registered agent. So I just click on the blue hyperlink. It takes me right to that part of the report, and I find out that Molly McConnell is the registered agent. So I'm going to go back to that executive list, and I'm going to click on the blue hyperlink to get to Molly McConnell's report. So now we're looking at a Smartlinx Comprehensive Person Report for Molly McConnell. So first information that I have for her is, here's her name. This is her residential address. That's that address that we saw on Ivy Crest in Bellbrook before. And here are two phone numbers for her. This box here is limited to just showing landline home numbers. But if we wanted to find a cell number for Molly, we can just go and click on cell phones, and now I have Molly's cell phone. And now I'm going to jump back up to the top of the report. Just in the Smartlinx Business Report, these blue hyperlinks over here are highlighting the content that we have available on Molly, and you can, of course, use those blue hyperlinks to jump to the particular part of the report that you want. So here's Molly's Social Security number, just the first 5 digits. her date of birth, it's just the month and the year, and some potential email addresses for her. Let's talk about the Social Security number and the date of birth for a moment. The LexisNexis Public Records database is used by law enforcement agencies, including the FBI and the CIA, and likely your local law enforcement agency. And they have a verified use for why they would need to have all 7 digits. I don't need that for my business purposes, and of course we want to be mindful of identity fraud. And so therefore that information is masked for you and I. However, the data is used remember when I talked about that there has to be at least 2 data points that match on a record before we're going to include that data in the report. It is using that information in the background in order for verification purposes. So, but with the month and the year, I know that what her age is, 42. If there's multiple Molly McConnells out there, that's going to help you in trying to narrow down which one is your Molly McConnell. This yellow flag here, this is an indication that the Social Security number is linked to multiple people. So Molly may have been a victim of identity theft. Over here, looking at her email addresses, I note there's one here that says molly@lmrcatering.com. So that's probably a business email address that she has used. Here's all the different versions of Molly's name that we found in the records that we added to this report. So sometimes they have her first name, sometimes it's her first name and a middle initial, sometimes it's her first name and her full middle name. Sometimes McConnell is 1 word, sometimes it's 2 words. And then these later ones that we see here, these are Molly's maiden name. So all included in our report. So now let's start jumping around to some different parts of the report. Let's jump and let's take a look at her real property information. So that Ivy Crest address in Bellbrook, the deed for that has both Molly and Matthew, so they're probably husband and wife. Seller information is Glenn Pinqueat. Remember, that was Molly's maiden name. And we find information here about the mortgage, the date that was taken out, what the amount was, and the lender, National City Mortgage. So here in the real property records, you find deed and assessment records. So now let's take a look now at, we can find out who her neighbors are. We can find employment information. So here at the top, the 4 McConnells. And then here's the Little Miami River Catering Company. That is the email that's associated with the email address that we saw for Molly. So that's a big catering company here in Dayton, Ohio. And now we'll take a look here at persons associated with her. These are probably people that Molly has signed a contract with or done business with in some way. So as you can see, we have blue hyperlinks here. We could click and we could get a report on any of these folks as well too. So now I want to take a look at the potential relatives. The first one is Matthew. This would be her husband. The order that people are going to be listed as her relatives are the closeness that they are to her in her family tree. So, and with Matthew, we know that there's lots of other data records out there that have both of their names attached on them. The Secretary of State filing, the deed and the mortgage information for their private residence. He's 42, which is the same age as her. The next 2 entities here, Thomas and Terry, they both live on Hillrice Circle in Bellbrook. And I note that Matthew's address, if you look down at the 3rd one, and this would be in chronological order, he also too lived at 2191 Hillrice Circle. He's 42, he and Molly both 42, they're 71 and 66. So we can likely deduce from this that they are his parents, and that makes up our 4 McConnells. I want to take a moment here and talk about some of the types of information that this report did not include for Molly. So, for example, professional licenses. Professional licenses would include things like a realtor's license, an architect's license. I've seen one out there for nail technicians before. So Molly does not have any of those licenses, so therefore that's why it's blank. So healthcare providers, Molly's not a doctor. She's not a pilot. She doesn't have a hunting or a fishing license. She doesn't have a licensed boat or an aircraft. We're glad to see she doesn't have any bankruptcies, liens, or UCC filings or defaults. Now, she does have a criminal filing, but I wouldn't be very concerned about these. All these are just speeding tickets. So going back to the potential relatives, I want to take a look at her sister-in-law, Kathleen. And I deduce that again because of the fact she also too lived at that Hillrise Circle, which is where her parents' address is. Before I do that, though, I just want to show you some administrative tools. If you want to download, print, or email a report, you just utilize these icons up here. So, for example, you would just click on download, fill out the easy to fill out template. So, for example, you can determine what format that you want it downloaded in, and that's easily done. If we see what we have available here for Molly today, but we want to keep up to date, if there's any additional records added, remember we're adding a million or updating a million records every day. I can just click here on this icon here. And I give the alert a name like Molly McConnell, tell it what information I want to keep up to date on, how often I want it to check for them, and if I want that information sent to my email, or if I'd just like it saved here online for me. Over here on my screen, this is where I would, if I choose to have them only delivered online, I can go here and check and see if any of the alerts that I have set up, if there's additional information that's been added. So now, back to, I talked about taking a look at her sister-in-law's record. Special reason for that, I wanted to point out that her sister-in-law does have a bankruptcy on her file. And the main reason I wanted to call attention to this was this is a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's back in 2005. That was when it was filed, and that was when it was discharged. Now, credit reports, a bankruptcy is erased from your record after 7 years. But this is not a credit report. This is a bankruptcy court record that we're looking at. So that's a matter of public record, and it stays on your public record. So now what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you another possible use for someone who is a commercial real estate agent. Let's say, for example, that you knew of an organization that had a large amount of property in their portfolio, and they might be interested in selling. So for that, you could come here to Real Property, Records. I clear my form, and this time I'm going to type in California Teachers Retirement Association. So we know that they have a large portfolio. We know that from in the news that they are having, they're in financial duress, so they might be interested in selling some of that property. I'm not going to include any information here about the address because I wouldn't want to assume that California Teachers Retirement has that their only real estate investments are in California. So I'm going to click here and say, just show me the current records only, and search. So now I have a list of 117 properties by the California Teachers Retirement System. So if I want to click on this first one here, I'm looking at the assessment record for this property. It's on Woodward Avenue in Woodridge, Illinois. Since there's not a street number, I'm going to assume that this is probably undeveloped property. It's zoned for commercial use. Here's information about the assessed value, what the tax rate is on that property. So now I can go and I can just click here on this arrow, go to the next record. This one here is a property that they bought from the Equitable Life Assurance Society. It's located on Spring Hill Road in Vienna, Virginia, and it says that it is an aircraft facility. Very interesting. I can scroll down here and find additional information on that property, the value, what it's zoned for, the legal description of the property. Now I'm going to go back to the search results. We had 117 records. So another part of the reason why I started off broadly, I just put in the organization name and didn't add any address information in, is because I know that I can go in and I can narrow down my results. So for example, if I just wanted the ones that were in Illinois, I type in IL here, find, and it narrowed it down to just the 5 records that are in Illinois. So I hope that you have found this demonstration valuable, and without any further ado, I will turn this back over to Mike, who is going to run the Q&A portion of our demonstration. Thanks, everyone.